Siombao Musua killed her husband by stoning him to death over a 3,000 shillings dispute. The 32-year-old woman from Makueni was taken in for questioning by the police. If this happened in any other county other than Ukambani or coastal area, the police would have immediately thrown her into a corner of a dark, cold cell. Apparently, the police had questions that needed to be answered, like, as a Kamba woman trying to retaliate, why didn't she use the traditional method of turning the situation into his fault like a normal woman? And the puzzling part is Siombao stoned him to death. She went biblical. Like, who still does that? If that's the case, it must have happened outside the house. For the rest of us, we get stoned inside. I would assume the argument between the two started inside the house, it got heated, and then it turned into, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen kind of situation. The husband ran out of the house while his wife was behind, chasing him, picking up stones and throwing them at him. The truth is, she only threw one stone that landed straight at the back of the head, which eventually killed him. With enough adrenaline surge, one can do wonders. Turns out the husband was 82 years old and his running days were behind him. Talking about speed, Celibacy is gaining wind in the local scene. Celebrities are coming forward and sharing their journey. In the international stage, this trend has been around for a minute, with artists like Craig David, Lady Gaga, Mariah Carey, just to mention a few, used to practice celibacy to enhance their careers and personal lives. Celibacy is the same as fasting, but for your private parts. The Islam community practice fasting because they predominantly originate from arid areas, which is a polite way of saying desert. Therefore, they relied on faith to find food and water every time they travel across the desert with their camels. For without their faith, they were as good as dead. That's what defines them. Though they aren't too keen on celibacy. Have you seen their women? Oh my God. Kenya is blessed with abundance of food compared to arid countries. In central Kenya, we have all kinds of food, you name it. In the western part of Kenya, we have sugar, fish, and groundnuts. In the east, we have the famous mangoes, oranges, passion fruit. In the south, coconuts, moringa, and cashew nuts. In the north, we appreciate your contribution. Basically, what I'm trying to say is we are fully covered when it comes to food. The Islam community practiced fasting because of how hard it was to find food. Christians practice celibacy because of how hard we easily get on a daily basis. Fighting temptations is a struggle out here. That's why some of our local celebs are into celibacy, among other reasons. The controversial singer Willie Paul has been celibate for a few months and experienced significant growth in his career. He claimed it was responsible for the success of his new album, Beyond Gifted. Go grab it, guys. Amazing stuff. Robert Borale, the life coach expert, image consultant, and inspirational speaker, has been celibate ever since his divorce 10 years ago. I'm not sure if that's 100% accurate, but what I do know is 10 years ago, nobody knew his name. Steve Simple Boy, the Kibera rapper, has been celibate for 10 years now, and he emphasized on endurance and having Oh, he has been celibate for 10 months, not 10 years. A decade seems far fetched when it comes to Simple Boy. Ladies can't get enough of him. How could they resist those dimples? Simple Boy professed to end his 10-month celibacy if the celebrity Betty Kielo agrees to date him. That's a daunting mission if he's indeed serious. Respect. It might take him actually 10 years before reaching the mountain peak where Betty Kielo's heart is patched, only to reach there and find it's a hologram. And he can't take it home with him. Ask Deno. As an effort of fighting temptations, there are Kajiado women who welcomed Makena the Lioness with open arms. It turns out the presence of a big cat tames their ravenous drinking husbands, as they started reporting home by 6 p.m. A Makena lockdown sounds better than COVID. In the 80s and 90s, lions and leopards roamed around our estates once in a while. Monkeys were jumping on the roof of our houses, and as children, we still played outside when all of this was happening. Lion attacks that are reported usually occur in the forest of a national reserve. If the news ever reported about a certain death involving a stray lion in the middle of Rongai town, the headlines will more likely read, "Man from Rongai pounced by vicious food safety officers from the Ministry of Health for serving lion meat to unsuspecting customers." Kenyans might be scared walking in a lion's territory, and that's why we avoid it. But those beasts better be scared walking into ours. Unless they run into a Shylock, then they can do their worst. Those Shylocks, what they are doing to Rongai residents is terrible, practically bleeding people dry. They have yards of full of repossessed cars taken from their defaulters. They have seized plots and plots of land. And most importantly, people's dignity. That's how these Shylocks grow their power, by sucking blood on the neck of their victims. If you and me are the children of God, these people are children of the devil. Like the one in Keanu Reeves' movie, Constantine, where Satan himself